Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view. We are an independent media outlet that, unlike mainstream media beholden to corporations, we only owe allegiance to you. Remember, you can also send me a tweet at EGBERTOWILLIES. That is at Egberto Willies. Let us engage. It is Politics Done Right. Well, folks, welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm Egberto Willies, your host. Thank you so kindly for being here with us. We're going to have a great show for you today. We have a great guest in the middle of the show, but we're going to start with our presidente. But before, let's talk about what the show is going to be about. Michael Rudnin, welcome back. And my most sincere condolences, my friend. Thank you so kindly for being here. Things are going to be all right. AVQ. On cue. I always say it wrong, but welcome aboard, my brother, AVQ. Come on in from YouTube, that is. And folks, we're going to have a great show. Title of the show today is, and let me tell you, it was a hard show putting together because everything came about late. So it's all kind of, wow, there's so much happening. Anyhow, title of the show today, George Floyd rallies perspectives and a caustic president losing his mind. And that is what we have, a president that is continuously showing us that there is something wrong upstairs. I am starting now to have a certain level of pity for the person who calls himself our president, because this guy is completely and entirely deranged. Nobody would do the things when the country is in turmoil. We have a pandemic, and we have protests, and we have infiltrators in protests creating chaos in the country. Folks, we need a president that is stable, a president who knows how to use his appendages to evoke good, sensible, respectful control on a system, and that is something we don't have right now. Today, Dr. Stephen Chao discusses the George Floyd rally and the Asian alliance, the natural alliance that should be there, is there with black folk in America, specifically African Americans. We're going to talk about that. We're also going to talk about President Trump proves he is an inhumane being as he supported violence against the aggrieved. Anyhow, Dr. Stephen Chao discusses why he attended the rally. He is the vice president of advocacy of OCA Greater Houston. His interview is present. I want everybody to stick around and listen to that because quite a few people are going to learn from that. And one of the reasons we do what we do is because we believe that the mainstream media is not there informing you in depth enough. And when we have people like Dr. Chao on, he gives a perspective that is otherwise ignored, a perspective that is normally not there. So it was my pleasure speaking to him a few minutes ago. But anyhow, let's go ahead and start with how should I say this? The president today was on a conference call with the governors, and to put it bluntly, I think it was an embarrassment. President Trump on Monday berated the nation's governors. This is from the Washington Post. President Trump berated the nation's governors on a conference call, describing them as weak in the face of growing racial unrest and urging them to try to dominate unruly protests. In other words, enslave those protesters. Do you doubt me? Trump also called on the governors to take back the streets and use force to confront protesters. He said if they did not, they would look like fools, alarming several governors on the call as they communicated privately. If you don't dominate, you're wasting your time. Who is Trump dominating right now in America? The people were around the White House entirely yesterday. I didn't see him doing any major domination. Of course he couldn't do any domination. Why could he have done any domination? He couldn't. Why? Because, again, the president is not in control, folks. The president is not in control. I have some videos to show you, and these are important. I want you to take a look at these because when you see these, you're going to be it is going to be of quite good interest. So let me go ahead and get a few things started here, and then I'll get back to that. I need to go ahead and cue this up real quickly, and then we'll go ahead and put that video on. Oh, let's see. But anyhow, the president also went on that call, and guess what else he had to say? He told them the protesters should be locked up for 10 years. He wants you to go ahead. He wants these governors to lock up the protesters for 10 years. This is a guy who says he believes in democracy. But you know, this at all should not surprise us in the least. Why am I saying that? It should not surprise us in the least because it isn't like this is the first time the man has done this. The man, while he was, what we're going to do is show you a plethora of things that he has said before. And I want you to take a distinct listen to it. I mean, Daily Kos found this. Well, I mean, I don't think it was Daily Kos who did the video. But let's take a look at that. Let me bring that screen up and let you listen to this because this says it all. Check this out, and then we'll take it on the other side.
When the economy crashes, when the country goes to total hell, and everything is a disaster, you know, you'll have riots to go back to where we used to be when we were great.
When you guys put somebody in the car, please don't be too nice.
Maybe he should have been roughed up.
Knock the crap out of them, would you? Seriously. Very fine people on both sides.
I can't breathe over there.
Oh, I can't breathe. I can't breathe. Get that son of a bitch off the field right now. In the good old days when they protested once, you know, they would not do it again so easily. Like to punch him in the face, I'll tell you. Fake, disgusting news. Time here.
Are you okay? Get shot!
The enemy of the people.
Step back, get back.
Yeah, I got hit. Hold on.
President tweeted, when the looting starts, the shooting starts.
MAGA, they love black people. What do you have to lose?
Now that is our president. That is the leader of this country that is advocating this sort of stuff. And like I said, it didn't start yesterday. It started before the election. And what we did is we went ahead and still put this guy in office. Mike Cisak, everything that I've just showed you there, it's on video, so you can't say that it's not true, whatever. That is absolutely true. Now, one of the things that the president likes to preach, right? He likes to preach as if he is this patriot. He believes in America. He wants us to be, you know, those other people that are protesting are un-American. But some people are not. I want you to check this one out because this one was also placed on Daily Kos, but I think it was done by, I forgot the name of the group. It'll tell you in there in a minute. But it gives you an idea of the, not only morality, but the unpatriotic type of person that this president is. The treasonous type of person that this president is. Let's take a look at it, and then we'll take it on the other side. Let's see. Here we go, right here. Check this out.
The men who followed this flag 150 years ago knew what it meant. Treason against their country. The death of the United States. America defeated the men who followed that flag. Those with honor surrendered and cast it aside forever. So why does it keep showing up today at events supporting Donald Trump? And why does he call the folks who carry it very fine people?
I think there's blame on both sides, but you also had people that were very fine people.
What does it say that they're all in for Trump? What does it say that he won't condemn a flag of hate, division, and losers?
Will not replace us!
For us, it says this is a time for choosing America or Trump?
And folks, that is really where we are. It is America or Trump. Remember that. Anybody going out there to vote, it is America or Trump. This is somebody that has reinstituted a metastasizing cancer in this country. A metastasizing cancer is what this president represents. And the coronavirus that is killing Americans, it's a direct responsibility of the president. There are times we used to say an indirect responsibility. No, the coronavirus pandemic is a direct responsibility of the president. The president, in his daily briefs, had information stating that there was a pneumonia going around in China, contagious, that could affect America. They knew that back in not January, back in November. They could have been making preparations to save the American people. Donald Trump is directly responsible for the deaths of many Americans. His violence, his violent rhetoric, what he talks, the way he speaks, has emboldened that carnal fear in many of those people throughout America who believe America has not given them the chance they deserve. And you know what? They're right. But it's not, it is the boogeyman isn't who they believe. The boogeyman is a plutocracy, an oligarchy, a corporatocracy that is sucking the living blood out of them. But we as progressives have to make that bridge, have to build that bridge to take it to them and destroy that bridge that has all that pollution that Donald Trump is putting into their minds. That is what we have to remove. That is what we have to remove. That is what we will remove. So going back to that article from the Washington Post, Donald Trump told the governors they are fools. Donald Trump told the governors, he's speaking to other executives, they are fools. If you don't dominate, you're wasting your time. Equivalent, if you don't enslave them, if you don't lock them up for 10 years, you're wasting your time. Nothing is he saying about the boot on the neck of that black man. Nothing is he saying about the murder in front of one's eyes. He's showing very little is he showing about the murder by cops of thousands of Americans throughout the last decades. The murder. You are allowed to fight back, he said, describing the situation as a war against Americans. This is your president. He's calling those protesters people that are in a war, and he wants the governors to annihilate them. Pockets of the United States have descended into chaos in recent nights after days of mass demonstrations over the death of another black man. Notice they didn't say of a black man, of yet another black man. Many of the protests have featured violent clashes with the police. Yes, we see it on TV every day. And this president, as Bottoms said, the mayor of Washington, please shut up. Please keep your mouth closed. Please say nothing. Because the more you speak, the more you endanger the lives of American citizens. Before I go to our video, before I go to Dr. Chao's video, I want to welcome Norman Reynolds, Mike Cisak, Duskin Lambs, Rose Williams, Michael Rudnin, welcome aboard. Bruce Pollard, AVQ, because you told me that I can't say your name as I should. Anyhow, folks, so let's go ahead and listen to the good doctor, and then we'll come back. We have some more videos to show you, so stick around. But before you go away, please remember, share. If we are to inform, if we are to instruct, if we are to make things better for others, if we are going to empower people, we need you to share these programs. So I ask you so kindly to please share the program. Here is Dr. Stephen Chao. Welcome to one more edition of Politics Done Right. I'm here with Dr. Stephen Chao. Dr. Stephen Chao, how are you doing today, sir?
I'm doing all right. Hopefully everyone is as well.
Well, you were out there for the George Floyd rally, I think on Saturday. Is that correct?
On Friday. So
on Friday.
Friday was the one spearheaded by Black Lives Matter Houston.
Mm-hmm. Now, what are your thoughts on, first of all, before we go into what happened, what are your thoughts on the way we did the rally here in Houston compared to what you've seen around the country?
Well, I think, the rally here was a collaboration among several groups, obviously BLM Houston, but also I believe it's Standing Up for Racial Justice, SURJ, Texas, and Indivisible, and I may be leaving off one or two groups, but the rally itself ended at 4:30. So anything that happened afterward was not, to my understanding, officially part of the rally. Now, as for the rally itself, which was the march from Discovery Green to City Hall, and then from City Hall back to Discovery Green, I thought it was, it's been heartbreaking to see all of this happening. What happened last Monday in Minneapolis with George Floyd, so I'm representing an organization called OCA, Asian Pacific American Advocates Greater Houston. So we're a Asian American civil rights advocacy education organization, a chapter of a national organization headquartered in DC that we have about 42 chapters around the country. And from the Asian American community, it is heartbreaking to see that the video of Mr. Floyd, he's the native, be the target, the victim of continued discrimination. And the Asian American community stands by the Black community in their fight for justice. It heartened me that there was a lot of young people out there. Heartens me that there are a lot of young Asian Americans that participated. We were there to support our friends at BLM. We brought 2,000 face masks to Discovery Green and 2,000 sets of gloves and hand sanitizer to support the march, because as you all know that we're in the middle of a pandemic, and just before this incident happened, we had incidents of discrimination and violence against Asian Americans all around the country. Because why? Because people see us as the other, and that purportedly we were carrying a virus. And
Stephen, Dr. Chao, it doesn't help that we have a president who continue to try to give nationality to a virus, does it?
No, it doesn't. We've seen that he, very deliberately labeled it Chinese virus, that their framing of this has been very racialized. And this really goes back to a legacy, a history of othering, whether you're Black, brown, yellow, red, there's always been this othering of other communities. As we've seen from history, Asians have faced exclusion. The Chinese specifically, the first laws to actually legislate that to subject a specific people group to restrictions on immigration were the Chinese Exclusion Acts. And we have faced that discrimination and we have fought it. And we really owe a legacy to the African American community. We owe a great debt to the legacy of the African American community for standing up for civil rights, for opening up the opportunity to have those laws struck down finally in 1965 with the Immigration and Nationality Act, that, you know, folks like my own parents were able to come to this country. And I do also want to allude to a long history also of, I really regret this, but Asian American complicity in a system of oppression, where you saw from the video that there was an Asian officer who told the crowd to back off and to mind their own business. And I will say, you know, that the Asian American community has participated in anti-Blackness. It has been used as a wedge, as a divide, with this whole model minority myth, where it's like, oh, if y'all just work harder and behave, then y'all can achieve this so-called American dream. And so I want to say with our Black brothers and sisters is that we stand with you in this time of struggle, and that we seek justice for George Floyd as well.
Dr. Chao, those words go without saying. I think those are very important words for several reasons. Complicity is not solely Asian, it's even Black, as I was speaking to some others before, in that many of our own police officers, Black police officers in these organizations are complicit in the blue wall of silence. So it is a complicity that goes throughout. I mean, there are different dynamics, notwithstanding. I think we all have, it's great. What occurs is horrendous, but I think one of the things, having people like you engaged, having many of the other activists of various different ethnicities engaged, I think is important, because it presents that message that we can all learn from. Because your message is something many Asians, many Blacks, many otherwise likely didn't know about. And just the education that you're providing in that respect is very important, that will ultimately lead to harmony and not what white supremacy needs, which is ignorance.
Right, I wholeheartedly agree, Egberto. And it's interesting for me being a physician. So I'm a family physician. I work in the safety net system here in Houston and Harris County, as you know, Egberto.
Yes.
And I've worked with Black and brown communities every day. And it's an interesting time to see how all of our communities are being affected. You know, my patients, that they are essential workers, they are on the front lines, they're grocery workers, they're home health attendants, they're working in nursing homes, they're housekeepers. And, I think the greater question is that we have a system that takes advantage of folks, denies them healthcare, denies them civil rights, denies them jobs. We have 40 million people out of work. And, and to me, the Asian American struggle here has been about labor, that 150 years ago that folks were brought here to build railroads and then forgotten. Or even today, where we have, in say our medical center, we have many researchers that are working on a vaccine for this virus, but they're researchers, they're former physicians, and they're brought here to work often minimum wage. And the story of America is a story of exploitation of labor, starting from its original sin of slavery, right? Of counting people as 3/5 of a person, right? Counting slaves as 3/5 of a person, and then bringing migrant farm workers over, or people to build the railroads, or Filipino nurses, or Indian and Asian, Indian and Chinese scientists, researchers that now apparently we don't want anymore.
Or you want at a discount.
at a discount. Or currently right now, what's been proposed is to put a hold on graduate students when innovation in this country has come from immigration, and granted, most Asians came here as immigrants. Some came as refugees, but we've always had this interconnection, right? We've always had this interconnection of coming here to do the work, not always under the most welcome of circumstances. I saw a posting yesterday from a group called Pivot, the Progressive Vietnamese Network, and they found a New York Times article from 1978, I believe, that was taken out by Black leaders, people like Reverend Ralph Abernathy and many signatories, at a time when refugees from Southeast Asia were not wanted. And Black folks, Black leaders stood up for us, even when it was unpopular, and said, we have committed war. We have committed tremendous acts of violence against these people, and these people are not our enemy. And therefore, we should bring these folks from Southeast Asia over. And so, we've had a long history of interconnection. I would not be able to be here without the changing immigration laws. And my wife, she's Vietnamese, I'm Chinese. Her family would not be able to be here if it were not for the struggles that the Black community have really pioneered and led for us.
Dr. Stephen Chao, I think that is the excellent place to end this with the information that you are able to provide us, the knowledge that you're able to provide us, the history that you're able to provide us. You've done a necessary thing. Thank you so kindly for having been with Politics Done Right.
Thank you, Egberto.
Okay, folks, I hope you enjoyed that. Lena, yes, the stream will be, all our programs can be found on our YouTube channel, which is youtube.com/Egberto Willies. That is youtube.com/Egberto Willies. You can also find it. It'll be back on our page, but the cleaned up version, it will be at youtube.com/Politics Done Right. And of course, you can find the podcast at all the podcast locations: Stitcher, TuneIn, Spotify, iTunes, player.fm, everywhere you can find the podcast as well. Okay, I hope you one of the reasons I'm interviewing a whole lot of folks that went to the rallies, and what I'm trying to do is give a flavor of the rally. What the mainstream media would like you to believe is that all these rallies are riots. All these rallies are terrible. They're a whole mess that's going on out there. And, we need to eradicate that because it's terrible. Yeah, there's a lot of destruction in some cities where these rallies are occurring. Yeah, there are, people say Antifa is there. Antifa is an anti-fascist group that believes in, anti-fascist group. They may be there, but the real genesis of the problem, as expressed by Keith Ellison, Attorney General Keith Ellison, is a lot of white supremacists are entering to these places, and you see a lot of videos. You see a lot of videos of these masked white guys, younger white guys, going and just breaking windows and disappearing. Okay, so I mean, we know that we have infiltrators that start to operate at night, and these are perfectly, generally speaking, the Trump's people. But anyhow, let's go ahead and show you. I want to show you something, because Fox News attempted to make this an issue. Oh, somehow it is just a whole bunch of hoodlums that are doing this, and there's one reporter in the mainstream media, Ali Velshi, and others have picked up on it, that have started to really tell the truth. These are real protesters out there. They are real protesters out there. And at night, Trump's white supremacists start to infiltrate and attack. They go out there and attack, right? And we know who they are. And, they're getting exposed quite well. I mean, there's a Boogaloo, I think it's called Boogaloo. Look up Boogaloo, because they're talking on Reddit, on Chan 4, and all these other right-wing white supremacist network. I went ahead and did some research and found out that, yeah, these guys are actually talking about infiltrating. First of all, some of them are talking about becoming alliances to Black Lives Matter for destruction. In other words, some of them are wanting to ally with Black Lives Matter to go ahead and destroy the state. But that's not what Black Lives Matter is all about at all. They're not about that at all. Let's see. What I'm saying is they're white supremacists, Mike Rudnin. Citation, I'm glad that you asked for citation, because a friend of the show sent us a citation from and I'm sorry that I'm behind in posting all of this, but a friend of the show sent the citation from who these white supremacists are that are doing a whole lot of the damage, that did a whole lot of the damage in Minnesota and likely in the other places. I'll get that for you a bit later. I think I have it on my, my LinkedIn. So as soon as I get that, I'll take that out for you. Anyhow, I want to show you a video here of Ali Velshi, because he didn't take the bait. When he went out there and said most of the protesters are peaceful, but there are a few people that are not, he did it behind a burning building. So Fox News made a caricature of that, and when I made the video with him behind the burning buildings, I sent him a little text and said, "Hey, Ali, thank you for actually representing correctly how the stuff is happening on the ground." So I said, I made the video, I tweeted it, I then sent him a DM on the message, and it's funny because I woke up to a message that said, well, it's funny because the same clip that you sent me, it's the same clip Fox News and other right-wing stations are using to say that I'm giving fake news. A lot of the reason these right-wing organizations do this is they're hoping that by critiquing somebody like, let's say, Ali Velshi or others, that their bosses are going to say, oh, they're talking about you and they're making you look silly or making it look like we're not giving real news, and then stop him. Well, so far, MSNBC has allowed him to tell the truth. And for that, I did this little video with him not giving back, not stepping back. Here we go. A couple of nights ago, Ali Velshi characterized the protests in Minneapolis appropriately. They are protests, and most of them are peaceful. Yes, there were instances of vandalism, instances of fire, but that was done likely by some of the right-wing groups, as the mayor and the governor of Minnesota has said. A lot of these people, or most of them, are coming from out of state. So he did express and he did characterize the protests exactly as he should. Now, he took a lot of hell from the right-wing media for that. I mean, in fact, if you take a look at what Fox News is saying, MSNBC's Ali Velshi says situation not generally speaking unruly while standing outside burning building, and they continued with a whole entire piece trying to give the impression that Ali Velshi is misreporting, which the reality it's they're misreporting by trying to make it seem as if this protest was a protest of thugs instead of a protest that has a genuine reason for being. And you know, the thing about it is you would think that that is what they would be covering. But anyhow, would that deter Ali Velshi? Would that cause him to decide that just maybe we should cover it differently? No. Check what he did.
I do want to emphasize, again, cannot say it enough because I've been saying it for 3 days, and I've actually been getting a lot of flack for it from right-wing media and social media. The majority of the people protesting here are doing so peacefully. They are giving speeches. They are eloquent. They have signs. They say, I can't breathe. They say Black Lives Matter. They say things like that. And the police fired on that crowd tonight, Chris.
Well, that is one of the reasons we have to have diversity in reporting. That is why we have to have diversity and knowledge. In other words, people who understands the intricacies of America's political system, criminal justice system, social justice system, and racial inequities. Ali Velshi shows that he knows that, and he's not going to be deterred in his reporting for ensuring that America get things the way they should. And that, you know, I was very happy when Ali Velshi did that. In other words, he's saying, you guys aren't going to detract from me. You guys are not going to stop me from telling the truth. You guys are not going to allow me to misrepresent this as being somehow a whole bunch of hoodlums that are protesting. The truth of the matter is, the people that are protesting represent America. They look like America. That is the protesters that we have. And the great thing about it is it encompasses white people, Asians, blacks, Latinos, everybody out there. And the ones that are left out are those people licking their wounds thinking, I am not a part of America anymore. It's becoming too diverse. And since I will have supremacy no more, I can't be a part of it. So I must look. These people are fearful because they think they're going to lose something they have never had. The plutocracy has, the oligarchy, the corporatocracy has always fooled them into believing that just the color of their skin did something for them. And the reality is coming out that the person who screwed them the most were a very small quantity of people who looks like them. But you know what? We are America, all of us, black, white, Latino, indigenous, working together. That is America. And what we have to do is bring the CSACs of the world into realizing that they have nothing to fear. What we have to do, and that's why I love you, CSAC, and all my right-wingers that are on the show right now. We got to show you guys that the enemy is the ones that you're fighting for. The enemy is the one you're defending. The ones that are screwing you over are the ones that most look like you. But it's a few of them. It's only a few of them because we're all in this together. But anyhow, let me go to the other video because yesterday, you know, you have a whole lot of reporters on, and black reporters, all reporters of all ethnicities. And generally speaking, they all try to keep a particular, I don't want to say level-headedness, but a particular invisibility to who they are and the things that they have to go through. Yesterday, while watching Pierre Thomas, I was like, wow, this is so strong. If you guys remember from the show yesterday, or the show on Friday, I think I played Tremaine Lee's piece where he really got emotional because this hit home. The cops continuously killing black men with America doing nothing hit home, and he gave a passionate soliloquy, and MSNBC didn't cut to commercial. MSNBC didn't try to hush him up. MSNBC gave him the latitude to say all that he had to say on air. Yesterday, ABC did almost the same thing. I want to play this one for you. And this one was with a rather older guy. Well, not older. He's probably my age or so. But he also said the way things are. He laid out there. ABC correspondent Pierre Thomas surprised me today with his personal account on encountering racism, not only as a journalist, but actually as a person in his car driving while black, also at a grocery store. You know, he comes across always very measured. I wonder, because I've been noticing this with quite a few reporters, this particular incident seemed to have been vile enough to take out the simply reporting into a more personal stance, a stance that actually starts to speak to people to say, this is who you really are. This is something that needs to change. I want you to listen to this, and then we'll take it on the other side.
One thing I would add here, the majority of law enforcement officials, as best we can tell, are good people. They do their job. It's a dangerous job. It's a difficult job. But this, in essence, is about the indignities that black men and women and people of color face all the time. I'll give you an example. I've been pulled over a number of times driving a nice car, driving while black. I can tell you, it's not a great feeling. Just recently, I happened to be in a supermarket shopping, had a mask on, people couldn't really see who I was. I was cleaning off my shopping cart, and a woman saw me cleaning off the shopping cart and motioned to me as if I was cleaning the cart for her. And I simply said to her in a rather indignant voice, I'm cleaning this cart for me. It was a white female. Now, the point here is that we suffer these indignities every day, all the time. And I think we're at a point where people are saying they're sick and tired of being sick and tired. They need to use the system and allow the system to play its way out. But patience, people want to see action, and we have to see this investigation through, see it where it goes. But this is not something that happened just to Mr. Floyd. We've seen this over and over again where black men and women who encounter police in routine situations end up either beaten and or killed, and that is the situation. Where are we on this road to the more perfect union? Where are we on this road to equal justice? And people want some answers now.
Pierre is asking, when are we going to live up to the perfect union that we talk about? He said, people are now tired of being tired of this. And it is so true. People need to start reacting. You know, there are a lot of folks right now that are saying, oh, why didn't they just do it peacefully? The question is, people, peacefully, they've tried. The truth of the matter is, unless people are uncomfortable in a forced, uncomfortable state, rarely does anything happen. And, you know, this is not a condoning of theft. This is not a condoning of all these issues. But what we're saying is, when you have a state where things don't matter to you anymore, where you have been so aggrieved that who the hell cares, this is the behavior you get. And when you get this behavior, and when you make so many people uncomfortable with this behavior, just sometimes, maybe, if the right people are uncomfortable for an extended amount of time, sometimes change happens. It's a choice whether folks want change in a dignified manner or not. And that is what we have to really keep in mind. I mean, that is what we have to keep in mind. And, you know, I feel when he talks about the indignities, the constant indignities, you know, you have to empathize with that. For my white brothers and sisters that are listening, you can't make it invisible. You know, I always tell a story. I'm going to try to tell this story real quickly because I want to talk to you guys, the ones that are writing messages. A quick little story. I ride bikes with a whole bunch of guys, right? We went to a town one time, and all of us went to dinner. And this was a little middle town in the middle of Texas. We went to dinner. And when we went to dinner, there were probably 15 of us or so. and the woman comes back with 2 tickets. She came back with a ticket for all the rest of the cyclists, and me. I was the only black person. All the other cyclists were white. We were sitting around the campfire, and I don't remember how we happened to start discussing race. So eventually I just kind of looked at them and I said, did anybody notice anything different that happened at dinner today? Nobody noticed anything. I looked at one of the guys and I said, did you remember when the tickets came? And one of the guys next to me got very red-faced. And he said, oh my God, you got a ticket and we all of us were on one. And I'm like, yeah, I got 1 ticket and you got the rest. Why do you think she did that? That's what I said. She was sending a message. And not one of you noticed it to speak up for me and say, lady, why did you think you were supposed to give this guy a separate ticket? Nobody stood up for me. And the reason nobody stood up for me is nobody really noticed it. Nobody really internalized what was happening there. The invisibility of not being white. That the ability to take advantage of you because you're just seen as Dr. Chao spoke about, the other. And once you can otherize other people, you can do a lot of things to people you otherize. And that is the thing. That is what we break. So earlier on, I saw Bruce ask a question. What are solutions? The solutions are happening with the younger people in that they're hanging out together. So otherization is not as easy as it was before. Because when they are hanging together, when they're sleeping together, when they're doing things together, when they're fighting each other on same grounds, when a Latino and a Chinese are hanging together and they have more in common with that other Latino or Chinese or whatever, and they're noticing that the differences are not pigmentation, but the differences are a lot more. It's more of a network of differences. People start to realize, oh my God, how stupid pigmentation really is. But the plutocracy can't let you get there because they need to have a pecking order so that they can maintain control. And we're breaking that, CSAC. CSAC, we're breaking that. You better get on board, and you better hurry and get on board, because just before, what we're having right now is the last stance, the catharsis, the last bit, the last begging of keeping things the way they are. The thing about it is keeping things the way they are also hurts you, CSAC. Also hurts you, Ledo. But, the thing about it is our success, good for progressives, our success is not leaving CSAC and Ledo behind. It's actually dragging them forward. And eventually, they will never admit it. They will never say it. But it is dragging them forward. Anyhow, let me go ahead and start going to the messages. All right, let's see. Going to the top. Michael Rudnin just watching in the background. Wow, brother, it's very happy to see you back, my dear Rudnin. Love to have you back. AVQ watching on YouTube. And by the way, those of you on YouTube, if anybody wants to be join our what we call the Super Chat Club, hit that $ on Super Chat and join our Super Chat Club. Anyhow, Bruce Pollard, Dublin with TX Demo Conference. Hey, you're great, man. You're both inside of the Democratic Convention and talking to us. Love you, brother. Love you, brother. Michael Rudnin, dozens of instances of police brutality and excessive forces in the last 2 days. Yes, and somebody got killed in Louisville out of indiscriminate shooting. The truth of the matter is I don't know if they know for sure. Well, I'm not going to touch that right now. All right, Michael Cisak, I can't believe Egberto is playing stuff that's already been debunked, but Egberto likes to lie to his listeners. I don't think you can prove one lie that I have told to my listeners. If you prove a lie to me, I'll be more than happy to come on tell all the people in front of you, my brother Cisak, that I've made a mistake. I don't just lie. I could have made a mistake and said something wrong. I doubt you have any proof of that because I generally do my research. Michael Rudnin, Cisak, it's a pattern of behavior. You're just blind. I know it's, it takes a while before people get around their innate beliefs, but that's okay. Whoa, quoting the Lincoln Project, which has been fact-checked as false. The Lincoln Project is a whole bunch of a bunch of Republicans who can't take Trump anymore because they know the evil he represents. Lawrence Sims, regarding your video, President Trump wants to see NFL players fired for kneeling during an anthem. Yes, but if you're kneeling on a black man's neck and killing him, hey, it's okay. Put all the people who are fighting that away. Throw them into jail for 10 years. Rose Williams, how you doing, my friend? Rose Williams is in the house. Mike Cisak, Egberto is supporting rioters and looters who are destroying black-owned businesses. No. Again, the white supremacists are the ones who are using the cover of protest to knock out black businesses, Latino businesses, Ethiopian businesses, Arabian businesses, etc., etc. Let's get it right. Norman Reynolds, democracy lover, the leaders of the Republican Party do not believe in democracy. We all know that. They have set off an example, H.R. 1, which was to push registration and voting, was called a power grab by Mitch Mitchell. In other words, let more people vote. That's a power grab. Ha ha, that's a joke. Let's see. I got about 4 more minutes. We are a democracy. We are not a democracy. We're a republic. I like to hear when people say that. Yeah, an indirect democracy because the people in the republic choose their representatives. Now that it is misaligned, it's horrendous. But when we take over in 2021, we'll make sure. Everybody wants to do some good redistricting. I don't want good redistricting. I want a 20-year period of gerrymandering or a 30-year period of gerrymandering before we have equity again. In other words, the Republicans got 30 years of good gerrymandering. Let's get our gerrymandering done, and then after that, we can call it even. Okay, let's see. Dokens Lamzi. American system is to give comfort to majority white people and racism and poverty to black people. Taxes are given for well-being of white people to calm situation. They make rare black people rich. That statement is, well, I'm not going to touch that statement because it requires an entire show. It requires an entire show, but there's much to that statement. CSAC, the Lincoln Project are a group of Republicans against Trump. Got a problem with them? Not seeing the fact checks because the fact checks are generally not fact checks. They are sort of biases running. That's why you see that. Norman Reynolds, please tell me that you understand that the U.S. Republic is based on democracy. If historically you think a representative republic based on the Constitution does not elect its representative based on democracy, please. That's what I've just told him, Reynolds. I mean, you again. One of the things is those of us who are from other lands, many times we understand the American Constitution more or better because we were forced to learn it to get our citizenship. Why not do that in classes here? There are a lot of good constitutional scholars here in the United States, but it pays to keep those on the right ignorant to the real representation of the Constitution, both good and bad. But hey, what can I say? What can we say? Anyhow, Michael Rodnan, CSAC, are you talking about this? Campaign staff for the Democratic presidential candidate Joe Biden are advertising their donations to a group that pays bail fees in Minneapolis after the city's police jail people protesting the killing of a black man by a white officer. All right, let's see what else is here for me to hit real quickly before I go. I don't have much time. Let's see. Bear with me, folks. Rose Williams says there are many types of democracy, just as there are many types of republics, and they are mutually exclusive. Muchísimas gracias por esa palabra, my dear friend. All right, Bruce Spillard, pork is never kosher. I don't know where that came from. I must have missed the message that you're referring to there. Lee Grant, masked younger white guys equal Antifa. No. But again, it helps to try to fool yourself. That's okay, Lee. I still love you. So let's see what else is here. Egberto thinks that Ledo says Egberto thinks that black people are so stupid that they're being played by redneck white supremacists. No, I don't. What do you expect them to do? Go in there and tell the white supremacists to stop? No. That's the job of the police. Some of them have tried that. Some of them have been stopping them. I have videos of them stopping them as well. Good people. All right, wasn't that the Russians bots did as BLM in 20? Yeah, they did do that, Sims. Okay, LA, Tulsa. I don't know what you're trying to say, Lee Grant. Let's see. Mike C said the protesters are during the mornings. The rioters and looters are doing their thing at night. Yeah. What's new, my dear brother? What's new on that? Okay. Bruce Ballard, I know there is no fast fix, but what needs to be done? Again, it's happening, Bruce. It's happening. We have to get over this hump. And this hump starts by eliminating Donald Trump. Once we get rid of Donald Trump, he will continue to have his followers. Those die-hard Trumpists will be there. But as they see the failure of the failure and the pain, it will slowly die. We will probably have as an engineer, you know this, Bruce. As a scientist, you know this. There's something called steady state error, right? And in all kind of systems, in damping systems, in whatever, mechanical damping systems, a lot of times you get something, a steady state error, meaning you never correct down to zero. You always have that steady state error up and down, up plus or minus. And what I think is that America for the foreseeable future is going to have a steady state error. The steady state error being the right wing that continue to believe in fallacies, that continue to believe in myths, that continue to believe in all these kinds of things. There's not much we can do with that other than having that overpowering of truth and overpower. It is like when it comes to drugs or rather to disease, we have this stuff called herd immunity. Our herd immunity is enough people having knowledge, enough people learning, enough people going away from the madness. And we're getting there. If you take a look at the polls, it's getting there. Once we get the madness to about 30%, then they are substantial, they are important, but they're irrelevant. Again, they still matter, but at that point they become irrelevant. And that is where we want to take that right-wing Trump movement. Irrelevancy, eventually that irrelevancy will turn into what we call, it will turn into embarrassment, and it will slowly, slowly die. We should always work towards justice for all. Absolutely, Rose Williams. Mike Cisak, better people are pissed off. Yes, a lot of them are pissed off, and they're not. Just wait. There's a lot to be happening. Bruce Pollard, we need laws that force equality where it is needed. For example, education and medical. You're absolutely right. Folks, I got to get out of here. So beforehand, I want to remind all of you to please go ahead and visit store.politicsdoneright.com. Visit store.politicsdoneright.com. Get yourself our book, As I See It, Class Warfare, The Only Resort to Right-Wing Doom. Go ahead and get our book as well, Lose Weight and Be Fit Now. Also, please consider becoming a patron. We were behind by 10 patrons last month. So please go ahead and become a patron. patreon.com/politicsdoneright. I just added it to the feed. That is patreon.com/politicsdoneright. Did I add it to the feed? I thought I did. Maybe I didn't. Let me add that again. There we go. Now I think I added it to the feed. Also, if you can support the show by contributing at paypal.me/politicsdoneright. That is paypal.me/politicsdoneright. When my show goes along, nothing happens. The thing about it, though, is it means I have a whole lot more work to do with processing it for those people that are using it for a 1-hour show. That's all that it means, sir. That in that case, that is what happens. Okay, let me do one more. Again, let me put the store link in there. I don't know. My links are not showing up. I don't know why they're not showing up. Let's go ahead and put it. Let's see. Restream. I think I think my links should be showing up. Okay. I think the link to the store just showed up. I'm going to put the link for the subscription, patreon.com/politicsdoneright. That is coming up right now. And I'm going to put the link for the paypal.me in there as well. Please consider supporting the show. That is how we get things done. My name is Egberto. I didn't put the store on again. There's the store. No, there's not the store. Here is the store right there. My name is Egberto Willies. This is Politics Done Right. And folks, you know how I end this baby. I am what? Out! Welcome to Politics Done Right. I am your host, Egberto Willies. This is a progressive program that will take the mystery out of politics. This is the program that will encourage you to make sure government becomes we the people. Whether you are liberal, progressive, conservative, or otherwise, you get to air your point of view.